What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Moguls. My name is Findlay-Shirras, and on today's show, we have the Executive Vice President of Corporate Development at Chestnut Park, the real estate brokerage, as an affiliate of Christie's. She's also the founder and managing partner of Groundworks, a real estate law services firm. She was also the host of Toronto Speaks, a Rogers TV show where she gave legal advice to people, to consumers. She's been the winner of Real Estate Institute's Education Award, the Bento Kennedy Literary Award, and a few others. So let's get excited to get to know and learn from Miss Natalka Falcomer. Thanks so much
my
for
pleasure.
being on the show.
That sounds like a mouthful. I'm like, who's that?
This is you. Now you have a really cool story because you started in law and then all of a sudden you got into real estate. So I kind of want to know why you got into real estate.
So it's funny. So very often, like most things in life, you think that you see someone, their trajectory in their career, and you think a lot of it's just accident. Mine was quite premeditated. I was a babysitter for many real estate moguls. And one thing they said to me, they said, Natalka, don't get your MBA. Get a law degree, then go into real estate, because the law touches everything. And it provides a level of credibility, and I'll say it because today's Women's Day, we're filming. For women in particular in the real estate realm, it's very good to have that background, to have that card to play. So I started in law with the idea that somehow I would play in the sandbox of real estate. And there's a lot to play, and there's a lot to do. So that's the evolution.
Now, what do you love about real estate?
Oh, geez, it is a game, and you can play it in so many different ways. There are investors or people that play in the game as private equity groups that look at properties from a spreadsheet. There are people that are investors that like to actually look at the land. It's perennial and it never goes away. And the nature of real estate often reflects how we behave, how we think, what's valuable to us, what's not. Like a good example is everything now is towards green. So people are now very conscious about the environment. So we're seeing an evolution of a lot of properties and the demand from consumers in both commercial and residential for the properties to be green, LEED certified, etc. That's just one example.
Okay.
It's a perfect sort of cross-section, if I may, between human behavior and the output. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now, you had a chance to get to know how humans think on this Toronto Speaks show where you were receiving questions live from people who had legal questions for their life in various different areas. What was some of the most popular questions and some of the answers that you were giving on that show?
So how the show worked is that every time we would have a topic, then we'd have people call in. So there'd be wills and estates, and I'd have a lawyer who's a specialist in that area. Then I'd have divorce. We had criminal, which was hilarious. I'm like, God, we can't talk about that. Our most popular topics were wills and estates and divorce, family law act, that type of stuff. And then following that, we had immigration, actually. So I remember as I think about it, it comes up. Those were our biggest results and targets. And we had tons of questions, really general ones. What was so fascinating and the idea behind Toronto Speaks Legal Advice was simply this. Very often lawyers overcomplicate easy answers. And even if I can't give you the fullest of answer, at the very least, I can steer you in the right direction so that the outcome wouldn't be so terrible.
Got it.
And I learned that because I worked I volunteered with women's shelters as well as in the legal aid space in Parkdale, which is a place where we have a lot of community housing in Toronto. And I found very often it would take me 2 seconds to explain, just don't do this. I know it seems intuitive to do this, but what's fair is not always what's legal.
Well, let's get into some of the specifics of, like, you know, there's misconceptions around what people should or should not do from a legal perspective. There's mistakes, there's pitfalls in the agreements and in deals, especially with real estate, with investors and tenants and, you know, landlords. What are some of the misconceptions or mistakes you've seen people make in real estate with regards to, like, the law and making sure everything is right?
So So what we think, sorry, I just walked by, I was waving at them. We're filming in the office right now, so I'm getting like very distracted by them, I apologize. So let's stick with a simple landlord and tenant scenario in which people believe that because their landlord is not providing certain services they promised to do, like for example, the landlord has not fixed my roof, that because of that, they can stop paying rent. Makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. They're not doing X, I'm out of pocket for it, I should stop paying rent. Mm-hmm. Not true. If you do that, then the landlord can evict you for non-payment of rent. So that's one example. In the agreement of purchase and sale world, I don't think that people take it seriously enough when they're putting in an offer. It can be a binding agreement. And what I seem to be the biggest issue is financing clauses and people removing the financing clause. Our market is changing right now, and if you're not paying all cash, so to speak, then you might get yourself in hot water if you don't have a financing clause, meaning that the mortgage is approved and so on and so forth. So not taking it seriously enough mm-hmm. is quite a problem.
Because some people think, the tenant protection is so high that you can just stop paying rent and squat, and there's really nothing a landlord can do about that for like at least 3 to 6 months or something like that.
Yes, it is mostly the issue is actually, in a way, you're right, in that it takes time for that process to unfold. Truly, it is. And having been on the tenant side for so long, I can certainly see abuses on both sides, mm-hmm. right? And you do see that. You do see that there are professional tenants. They know how to take advantage of those systems. And very often I see, and these are the type of people that I help very often on the landlord side, they're just good people that feel bad for the tenant, and the tenant creates a story, we can't pay this month, and it devolves into this, before you know it, 6 months later.
Right.
The trick to that but rather the solution for the landlord, and this is true of, I would say, all law and all legal issues, is that you must document, you must be precise with your paperwork. Mm-hmm. That means dates, numbers, how much money is owed, etc. You must be absolutely precise. You must be precise in notification periods. You must, again, document. And the reason for that is because if you do not, there will always be holes in what you present to the landlord and tenant board. They pay attention to those things. So as a landlord, if you do that correctly, you pay attention to dates, times, and you document, you can really go through the process quite quickly. Professional tenants would know, and not all, and again, to be fair, there are landlords that are unscrupulous as well. There are slumlords, etc. But what professional tenants would know, and I have observed this, is that if the landlord is so off, even with one letter in my name, one letter, if they screw up one letter, despite it being the right address, all the other documents, what have you, I can throw out the entire application and say, sorry, my name was spelled incorrectly.
It's not mine.
Not mine.
Interesting.
And they can start, and the whole thing has to start. If I'm even off by 1 day for the notification periods, the whole thing gets thrown out. Again, this is specific to Toronto, Ontario.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of other thoughts around, the future of real estate, and some people say, if I'm trying to sell a home or buy a home, I really don't need a realtor. The person I really need is the lawyer. I need the lawyer to draft up the documentation.
Of course, I'm joking.
And so where do you think that comes from? And is there any truth to that statement? Or do you think, no, this is the reason why realtors have to still be there?
So what's very, very, very rare is for a lawyer to be a good salesperson. The exact opposite. There's also a massive conflict of interest that we could talk about in a second. But the first thing I would say is, and I'm a lawyer, so I can say this, you really want someone that's all about the weeds to be selling your home? Absolutely not. We'd find every single flaw, every single problem. We'd stymie the entire deal. We're known in the industry as deal killers for a reason. While lawyers have their place and they are exceptionally valuable, what we cannot do is provide the service that a realtor provides, a good one. An excellent realtor will make sure that not only do they tap into their network of people that they think will want to actually buy your place, but they will know where to push your particular type of home and your type of product to the right advertising venues and avenues. So lawyers don't know how to do that. We don't do that. Okay. Number two, we also just simply don't have the marketing materials or the bandwidth to do a good job on that role. And finally, I've never seen a lawyer, but I've seen lots of excellent service-focused realtors do things such as make sure your house gets painted on time in order for the prep. They'll make sure it gets staged. Which is important, which is really important. They make sure that my selling experience, which could be intrusive with people coming into my home, etc., is seamless. No lawyer does that.
Now, I think when people think about maybe the future real estate, it'll start to segment and niche out to where realtors have more of a role versus a less of a role. Because now there are these platforms that are saying, hey, you can buy and sell your home on this platform. I mean, they've really existed for a long time, but they're getting better. The platforms are getting better. The technology is getting better at valuing homes to say, hey, you can just buy and sell a home on this platform without an agent. And the one thing I think about is the seller screwing someone over in the paperwork. Yep. If even the platform doesn't even have a lawyer, so the platform is basically saying we will do the real estate agent and the lawyer's job, or at least let the seller.
They can't close, they can't do transfer of title, but I know what you're saying, they're doing the drafting component of it, right?
And then the seller could all of a sudden put some stuff in there, and the buyer, if they're not represented, do you think that's a real concern or not really?
Those platforms, so have you heard of
Open Door and OfferPad and Zillow?
And there's a place for everything, and there's a reason why people use those platforms. So there are different types of buyers and sellers in this market that want different things. So there's the extreme is I do it all myself type of person. I don't want to hire anybody because I want to save every single penny possible. You could be shooting yourself in the foot for that, but that doesn't matter. They want to have control of the process. They want to be the ones that do it. So there's that segment. And then there's a segment of other people that are like, you know what, I hire professionals to do stuff. I hire lawyers, I hire accountants, I might as well hire a realtor as well. So then there's that segment, right? And where they don't have the time or the bandwidth, the knowledge base, et cetera, to actually provide and negotiate and stage and all that stuff, right? So the problem with Open Door and all this is that I don't know, and I'd like to see more information about this. I wonder if the sale price is better than if you had used a realtor.
Oh, it's worse for sure.
I believe that to be true,
significantly
but
worse.
I can't recall right now.
34%.
Is it 34%? Whereabouts? Because I don't have the reports on that.
Well, so with an agent, without an agent, 34% higher with an agent than without an agent.
Wow.
Now the platforms are saying, yeah, but we have these ABM models that we can maybe creep it up to probably a 10 to 20% reduction. So instead of 34% better with an agent,
delta.
maybe only 10 to 20% better with an agent versus without an agent on these platforms.
Right.
But they're admitting you're getting a cash offer from an investor is hands down.
Oh, are you talking about iBuyer program?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I can speak to that specifically, actually. iBuyers are someone that needs a quick sale and doesn't want the hassle. They're paying a premium for that. There's called what is it? Zillow admits about a 10% liquidation fee. No, is it liquidity fee? So essentially, with that 10% fee, so you're already paying. First of all, you're getting a lower value. There's that 10% fee, and that idea behind it is simply this: is that look, the investor has the risk of this not being a liquid asset, that it might have to sit on market. He can't flip it or do whatever he needs to do. So investor, or seller rather, be it known that you're going to be paying for that. Already, you're negative in comparison to using a realtor. Already. Just that alone. We're not talking about how huge of a discounted, they say around 10%, but there's other fees to pay. And you still have to pay commission to your guy if you're doing it. So I do not believe that those platforms are not there, by the way, in order to make deals happen. Those platforms are lead gen. They're lead gen. The people that sign up for that are actually, their information is being used and is being sold. And this is how. Zillow, and I don't remember what demographic or how large of a project it was, but they had 20,000 people apply for this iBuy program. 20,000. Of the 20,000, only 200 properties were actually bought through the program. That is an infinitesimal percent. But what happened to the 19,800 remaining?
Seller leads.
They sold the leads. They sold the leads to agents. Now, the reality is where we're seeing those models move is away from just lead gen to qualification of leads. So what they knew is that the 19,800 people were highly motivated. They took an hour of their time to fill out tons of information to have their place sold. Tons of information. And the reason why those deals were rejected was most often because the person that went through the process said, that's all I'd be making. I'm actually better off with a realtor. So it's an interesting space. Kudos to them for figuring out a really cool way of capturing those buyers and sellers. But it's not in the best interest of the buyer, or rather the seller.
There's a very few small segment of people where they actually will be like, okay, yeah, sure, let's do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where maybe it's a timing issue. Who knows?
Now, when you think about Chestnut Park and this brokerage and the challenges that you guys face right now, maybe because of the industry and where the industry is going and the media and stuff like that, what are some of the challenges that you guys face today?
It's interesting. Chestnut Park has really done a great job in creating a brand that says you're going to have a phenomenal experience. That means luxury. We're going to take care of details for you. We have you covered. We are professional. Nothing will be missed. Because of that, we've actually insulated ourselves from a lot of the ups and downs of the market. Because when the things are tough, people are coming to us because it's the best. When things are great, people are still coming to us because it's the best. We find that it's a very cluttered advertising space, but the way that we've approached that and met that challenge is by being innovative in what we're providing as far as getting not only our brand presence but our agents out there. And that's through our investment style magazine, where we have everyone from billionaire Miles Nadal on the cover to sports professionals, and we'll be having a lot of Garrison Bespoke, Mike McEwen on the next cover, who's a sort of an icon, a cultural icon, to artists, etc. So what we are doing is we're addressing the cluttered space by saying we're going to provide more value to you by way of fascinating magazines that are gorgeous that you want to have on your counter, to making sure that our agents are the best trained. Not just from drafting, the perspective of drafting, but making sure that they carry the white glove service, beginning to end, post-care, etc.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So what about your agents? Like, you're trying to support your agents
Right.
and help them succeed, help them provide great service.
Right.
What are some of the challenges that you're seeing that they're currently facing that you're now trying to help solve for them right now?
Well, something before we started filming, we were talking about this, and I'll be very candid, is figuring out how can you provide value. And this is very true. What makes a great salesperson is not someone that keeps on knocking at your door. Do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? No. They're creating relationships. They're creating value by virtue of giving me things that I need, whether that's market information that's specific to me, not generic stuff about the whole GTA. Okay, the data from the GTA, including 905, is not specific to my street in Leslieville, Rosedale, Summerhill, whatever. I want you to give me stuff that I care about, things that I need to know about, not just prior to me thinking about buying or selling, but also afterwards. And so teaching agents as to how to think really openly and really view themselves as a concierge service for their clients, not just after the ink is dry, like not as soon as like, okay, ink's dry, I'm out, but rather post-care. And what I think is going to be a really cool space are the people that are going to figure out how do we encourage or create a system that makes it easy for our agents to know exactly how to provide value prior to and post-deal. In a way that sort of ingratiates ourselves in a valuable way to our clients.
Are there any, so investors watch this and they think about winning technologies, winning companies, where to put their money into to make the industry better and also for them to have a win. If you were an investor, what would be some of the technologies or companies that you put stuff into?
I already know what I'd do. I'd be looking for companies that do exactly that are able to consolidate the nature and the types of services that agents do already that are unpaid for, whether that's me being, a client saying, John, you know everybody in the industry, and I know that you know everybody generally. I really want to get my hair cut where Drake got his hair cut. Can you hook that up? Someone who's going to be able to consolidate and create an easy way for me, client, to always naturally think of my agent as the go-to person for everything. And make it easy for the agent to deliver that service. So creating that connectivity between the client and the agent in a way that's perennial and it doesn't fade.
Awesome. All right, now I got some lightning round questions I want to ask you.
Great.
So we can finish this off with a bang. So whatever comes to your mind, short, powerful answers to these questions.
All right. Swearing loud? No, I'm joking.
What's the number reason why agents fail?
Lack of consistency.
What is your best advice to a new realtor who says, I want to get a client in the first 30 days? What should I do?
Make sure you provide value. Also, do the work. Just do the work. It's not through advertising. It's not through being fancy.
What's the work?
Provide value. Provide value.
I'm an agent. I'm trying to figure out my strategy where I want to focus, my niche.
Right.
Is my niche a geographic area? Is my niche a certain type of clientele? Is my niche a certain type of home? Clientele. Where do you feel agents waste money, and where do you think they should spend more of their money on to grow their brand and business?
Spend their money on people that you care, that provide you referrals, past clients. Spend money on them. They waste way too much money on Facebook ads. I'm probably offending a lot of people.
Where do you think agents waste their time?
Where they waste their
Yeah.
time? Too many seminars.
And what's the thing that you commonly are telling your agents this is what you got to do more of every single day?
Reaching out to your referrals, those that loved working with you.
Cool. Well, that's it for today's show.
That was
how
fun.
can people get in touch with you so they can either get to know you, learn from you, ask some questions, or maybe join your amazing brokerage?
Oh, awesome. How about this? I'm going to do something really crazy. I'm going to give out my cell phone number.
Woo!
Let's see if people actually call or message me. Send me a text at 416-508-8647. I've always wondered if people actually do it. So this is my experiment.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thanks so much for being on the show.
My pleasure. This was great.
As
Thank
always,
you.
everyone, if you want to get to know more real estate moguls, more experts in the industry, so you can be great in real estate, then subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube show, click the bell icon, and tune in next time.
Best salesman.